Welcome back to Phantom Files Official, where the forgotten, the cursed, and the unspeakable are brought to life every night through terrifying true horror stories. This is day 5 of our 100-day horror series, and tonight, we take you deep into a chilling urban legend that has quietly terrified an entire city for decades. The sinister tale of Apartment 6C at the Marrowgate building, a place so infamous, locals refuse to even walk past its entrance after dark. The Marrowgate building was constructed in 1912, a once grand, now decaying relic in the heart of a fading industrial district, its crumbling stone facade and boarded windows masking the horrors that took root inside long ago. Residents spoke of strange disappearances, sudden madness, and inexplicable deaths, all tied to one specific apartment, 6C. Its dark reputation began in 1925 when the original occupant, a reclusive author named Arthur Wren, was found dead in his study, his face contorted in terror, every mirror in the apartment shattered, and a single phrase scrawled in his blood across the wall: "It watches from the corner." In the decades that followed, a parade of tenants moved into 6C, each drawn by low rent and disbelieving of the rumors, only to vanish or meet grisly ends. Some were found frozen in expressions of unspeakable fear, others mutilated by unseen hands, and a few simply disappeared, leaving behind locked doors and untouched belongings. Maintenance workers reported hearing muffled voices behind the walls, the sound of weeping, and on rare occasions, glimpsing a tall, shadowy figure standing silently in the corner of an empty room. The apartment seemed to feed on its occupants' sanity, warping time and space, making hallways seem longer, windows open to impossible vistas, and clocks stop at precisely 3:07 a.m., a time later revealed to coincide with every recorded death in 6C. In 1989, a police report documented the particularly disturbing case of Olivia Mendez, a school teacher who began experiencing terrifying visions shortly after moving in. She claimed to see faces in the wallpaper, hear her own name whispered in voices not her own, and wake each night to find furniture rearranged, objects balanced impossibly on edges. Neighbors grew concerned when Olivia was seen speaking to someone who wasn't there, her windows always fogged despite the warm season. One night, a piercing scream echoed through the building, and when police arrived, they found the apartment empty, the door bolted from the inside. Olivia's belongings remained, her dinner half-eaten, her diary open to a final, frantic entry: "It's in the corner. It knows I see it." Most disturbingly, a handprint, much larger than any human's, was imprinted in the dust on the glass beside the window, and claw marks, deep, ragged gouges, marred the walls in places no person could reach. The apartment was sealed, condemned. But the horrors within did not stay confined. Over the years, tenants of nearby units complained of hearing scratching sounds from 6C, even though it was officially unoccupied. The building's landlord, desperate to rid himself of its cursed reputation, sold the Marrowgate at a loss, and for a time it sat abandoned, gathering dust and legends. Urban explorers, thrill seekers, and amateur ghost hunters, lured by the stories, broke in to document the infamous apartment. Many emerged shaken, reporting sudden nausea, disorientation, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Equipment failed. Photographs showed blurred humanoid shapes in the corners, and recordings captured low, guttural breathing beneath the static. One particularly chilling case involved a popular online horror streamer known as Ryder Graves, who live-streamed a solo overnight challenge inside 6C. The video, which still exists in fragments, shows Ryder speaking confidently to his viewers before the feed descends into madness. Shadows move independently of the lighting. The air grows visibly misty, and an unidentifiable voice begins mimicking Ryder's own words seconds after he speaks them. The last frames of the footage show Ryder staring in wide-eyed horror at something behind the camera before the stream abruptly cuts to black. His body was never found, though authorities discovered his equipment smashed to pieces and his phone lodged deep into a wall. Embedded with impossible force, the apartment was boarded up again, this time with iron crosses and heavy chains. But the evil within 6C seemed to bleed outward. Tenants reported waking to find black smudges on their windows, items missing, and seeing pale figures standing at the end of long, dim hallways. One maintenance worker quit after claiming to see the word "return" scrawled backwards across a mirror he had just cleaned. Paranormal investigators declared 6C a Class 5 malignant haunting, theorizing that it was not a typical ghost or spirit, but rather a parasitic entity, ancient and formless, that latched onto human fear and grew stronger with each death and disappearance, possibly tied to something summoned by Arthur Wren himself. whose unpublished journals hinted at dark rituals performed within the apartment's walls. His writings spoke of the thing in the corner, a formless hunger that watched from the threshold between worlds, and how it whispered promises of forbidden knowledge and immortality. Some believe the entity still waits within 6C, growing hungrier with each passing decade, its influence spreading through the building like a creeping rot. Even today, the Marrowgate building stands derelict, its windows boarded, its halls silent, yet passers-by report seeing lights flickering behind the curtains of 6C, and hearing soft weeping from within. If you should ever find yourself in that part of town, and you see an open window on the 6th floor, resist the urge to look up, for it's said that if you meet the eyes of the thing in the corner, it will know you, follow you home, and claim you when the clocks stop at precisely 3:07 a.m. And now, dear viewers, that brings us to the end of another true horror story from Phantom Files Official. If tonight's tale chilled your blood, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next terrifying episode of our 100-day horror series. Turn on notifications because tomorrow night, we return with another eerie, unforgettable tale drawn from the darkest corners of forgotten history. Until then, stay safe, sleep light, and never, ever stare too long into the corners of a dark room.